Okay. Wait, is this a different game? Uh-oh. Okay, Resolve doesn't have its own section on here.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean.
Oh shit, her dad.
Those days in London seem like a dream. But I do miss my time in England's vast capital. You know, he's flourished into a truly wonderful lawyer. I've no doubt that at this very moment, he's fighting some noble cause in court.
Or wait,
forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you.
Okay,
my life has been such a whirlwind since I returned.
I think.
And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
I find myself faced with another awful crime. Ah! This bitch. She's back.
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Oh, she's dead.
So please, I ask for your guidance. Kazuma-sama.
Oh, this is Ooh. This is Kazuma's grave. Okay, her dad's fine. Yeah? 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 The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. Here I am again after 9 months, the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet. And those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Oh dear. The truth is, I'm so incredibly nervous, I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Hi, Dad. Yuji Mikotova, professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. A man who, earlier in his life, traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Oh, excuse me? Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing. Ray Membami, born the same year as I, and my greatest friend. Not best friend? Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory, helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial, accused of committing a truly awful murder. You feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, well, it's just that... You look so gallant and dashing! Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Oh, she's gay. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what do you mean, Professor Mikotova? If even your best friend can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before, of course, so I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. But this does make me feel a little relieved, as you say, Father. Father? What? Is that you, Susato? Sorry I didn't say something sooner, eh? It's just that... No, what are you doing? What's going on? What? That varsity uniform, that varsity cap, that varsity cape, that varsity badge. Look at you. You look for all the world just like a student of the Imperial Yume University. A male student! I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Hey, Coach. Well, you see... It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted into the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. Don't lick my books. Gross. Ginger! She's licking my old books. My defense. Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated at having been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female alike. But women are forbidden! Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door. I just started, so... I wanna see Susato in the uniform! So that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Susato, you go to such lengths for me! Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Oh no, I have complete faith in you. Yes, we are Susato now. Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? So gallant and dashing. Trans Susato. Ray? Please don't look at me like that, with those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's just... You really do look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Wow, you should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Ray, you're managing to put on a brave face in all this, but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Susato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? Yes. Yes, it is. Perfectly clean. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about your innocence, which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side, because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. It means so much to me, Susato. Defendant, counsel, court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. Bye, Ginger. You should go in at once, Ray. If you're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Oh. Stand aside! I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. Well, Susato, you've certainly surprised your father. going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But Father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. Oop! I didn't want to burden her with that. And is it true, the reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case? Is it really because of who the victim was? You should be making a move now, too. As you know, law isn't my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. Thanks, Dad! I'm Susato Mikotova, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Wah! I wish we could see him. She looks so cute! This court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Membami. The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency. Oh, he has hair now. Look at her! Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency, we are ready. Ready! Ah yes, counsel. According to your registration details, your name is... Ryutaro Naruhodo. Is that correct? Sorry? Oh yes, I had to come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid to say I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, counsel? Yes, that's right. That's me. Yes, I am Ryutaro, he who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. It seems Ryutaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act first and not overdo it. And those wild eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo? A fresh phrase in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be? You may be thinking of Ryunosuke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of a study program. This is, his cousin! That's right, Ryutaro here has been studying in the provinces but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them.
Tut tut tut, what a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accusers had to call him the country boy.
How dare you! Susato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her.
Huh?
Oh, please be careful, Ray.
What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
Ugh, I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit. case to be heard on this day is a matter of great significance to our national interests. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire. Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the dock. Dear me. Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the defense. To determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in this courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain other Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, this same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even of law, he passed the test with flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions? Right? It's time to prove myself. She does the face slap! Yes, Your Excellency, but please do make them simple. Very well. To start with, you will state the name of the victim. Ugh, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. What's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, minds are wont to blank. It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position and in that guise. Even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter a little under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret. You need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right. Just use E to open the court record. They need to flip to the People section with E. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with E. That's where the information I need will be. Oh my... wait. The costume might come off as something else, though. I'm waiting, counsel. What's the name of the victim in this case? E. E? My best friend works this girly. The victim of the case was a former British exchange student. 9 months ago, she was found guilty of the murder of visiting Professor Dr. John Wilson. Back. Giselle Brett.
Yes!
Does she also raise her hand? The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. I like her default outfit a lot. I like the pinks. Correct. And being a member of our Empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name indelibly associated with our own Empire's judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten that case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett, behind the woman student persona, was the face of... a killer! Queen Victoria.
Yes!
She slam! 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yuma University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. the time, our country had just signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of this delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotova. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He'd been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at the university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on their soil was a matter the government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here at the Supreme Court. A student of the Imperial Yuma University was arrested on suspicion of murder. A second-year English language student by the name of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. Exposed a despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. I do love the steampunk outfit. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. Oh yeah, that's true. They're like, we'll handle this. They did not handle it. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead. Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Correct. I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship. And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed. Only the day before. Sussy. That will do. I'm satisfied that the counsel for defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Ouchie. Ouchie. As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea. The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erected for bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal. How many times do you rinse rice? I rinse it once because I'm lazy, but you should rinse it twice. Also, she's smiling. She knows this will mess a lot of things. I don't know, too boring to make it because you'd have to make the armband. Wait, go get a sword also. Make a sword also. You should rinse till it's clear. Yeah, I mean, you should, but I don't do that. There were two persons alone together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett in her bathing attire, and the accused, Ray Membami. Accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive.
The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady. Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. It's certainly true. The prosecution's summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. Look at the little star on her head! Ugh. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution counsel what he said about. I want to hear about the motive. You didn't say anything. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement. Tut tut. It's a yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand. How much time? 8 months ago, we left to go to Great Britain. Yeah, this is pretty... I think this is... right after... This is literally right after she got back. I think. Or was it 2 months after she got back? I can't remember which. I beg your pardon? No matter, let us put us to the accused, shall we? Mbaumi-san, you're a research assistant at the Imperial Yume University, I believe. Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotova in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that. The defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility. Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotova, whose research were you assisting then? Oh, well, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? The visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago? You spelled it right the first time. The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true? First correction, that's what I meant. Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man. Interesting. Then tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had toward the Englishwoman who killed him. Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Oh no, Ray, be careful of what you're saying. The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency. Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How wicked of him to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that. I must find out more details and something we can use to bolster our defense. Lawyer, I really ought to... Okay. I guess we gotta ask him about all these things. Tell me about the bathing spot. If I may, Prosecutor Ouchie. What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student? I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot. Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins. No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea? For old time's sake, I believe. Sorry? Miss Brett was to depart for Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply. But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal. Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong. But in fact, a murder took place. I said don't look at me! It was that young student girl who did it, not I. No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke the man if you don't need to. At this stage, I need to gather more information, I think. Okay. Tell me about being alone together. Membami-san. Yes, what is it, Susan? I mean, Naruhodo-san. I'm really starting to wish we'd made my alias Ryotaro Susato. Alias? Elias? Did I say that right? I don't think so. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place. And why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present, a detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. Alias. But let us be clear. Let me be clear. At the moment of her death, you were alone together with the victim in the hut, you and no one else. The truth is, there is only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life. No. Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again. Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration, instead continuing her research work at the university. Bitch. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder of the mentor for whom she had such great respect enjoying such undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary. Until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray. So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind as to peruse this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident. Let me look at that picture. Yes, thank you, Counsel. A tragic image. She wears the hat to the beach. As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone else could have hidden. The court will accept this photographic print as evidence. As I understand it then, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the beach hut at the time. This is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant. Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused's appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence. Witnesses? But who? One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of these witnesses will leave no room for doubt. Ugh. Very well then, Counsel. Bring forth your witnesses. Taketsuchi Aochi, have been waiting for this moment. Sorry? Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse, when that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Stop. Okay, naruhodo! You piece of shit! I will avenge you! Haha, you're old. Get lost, loser. Snip, snip. Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut, and a bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died. Start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Cancel? Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there's been a minor miracle atop my head. Wait, is he actually gonna talk about it? Observe the ouchie growth! You see this seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown? I think that tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see. Where is the hope exactly? I said silence. Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilizer for the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls the witnesses to the stand. It looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. The prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Rei's life. Come on, man. Y'all, why are you here? Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau. Look at his cute little turtle hat! I'm in disguise, obviously, so I can go undetected. And I am, well, the next big thing in books! An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical I Am a Cat, a sensational success, by Soseki Natsume. Who is this man? Hello? Can you get me one? I'll try. Oh my goodness. Struggling student from the provinces, please. You needn't be in awe of me. I needn't. It's only natural that you'd feel nervous in my presence, but all of you, please relax. Call me Soseki, even. Oh, yes. What on earth is Soseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Susato. The author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Soseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat in the 6 months or so that it's been since I last saw him. He still has... Wait, did he have the bags under his eyes before? I don't remember that. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is... hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either. Ah, I suppose it's his disguise, is it? I thought that appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Wait, can you see with his glasses right now? Well, I appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business did a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Soseki-san? Ah, well, you see, I have been asked that day to give a lecture. On the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. Oh, I don't know. It might be that. At Yume University. After the lecture, I had a very pleasant conversation with a researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact.
With Professor Mikotova. Yes, that's right. It was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or other about 2 former students who'd studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leave me alone. They secretly spy, snap shots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. Huh. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read at your leisure, my provincial struggling student friend. I have plenty of coffees. Oh my god, is he like, ugh, an asshat now? Thank you very much. He practically threw that paper at me. Debate became quite spirited, huh? Anyway, following my interview with the professor, the lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory, under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance, the university immediately contacted the government to seek guidance. And the response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as a detective accompanies her. That detective I am at liberty to divulge was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Isn't he still sick? Doesn't he have tuberculosis? Or did I imagine that? Thereby the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I am at peak physical fitness at the moment, so... Oh, speaking of... I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly. Oh my, Inspector, you... Well, you have something on your face now. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize. Does that mean that you went to the beach too, Father? No, fortunately I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I didn't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but if only I had, I'd never have seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast. Of course, Your Excellency. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am. Oh, it's a dual testimony? On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in this disguise. I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. I ran to the beach hut at once, where I found the pair in question. Yes, that young girl was astride the Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly. Girl, you were accused of murder. Why would you do this? I saw blood in the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim multiple times. I need to look at the court record. Indeed, it does appear from this testimony that both witnesses here that both witnesses here at present saw it. The very moment of this heinous crime. What? Now, if you'll recall, I promised evidence as well. What phrase did I use again? Ah yes, that was it. Damning evidence. What have you there, Counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it? Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, with her final ounce of strength, the victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer. What? Your Excellency, if you would cast your eyes over the photographic print of the crime scene once more. Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim was clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand. That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency. Ah, the owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Ray Membami. The initials of the defendant. No!
No!
Oh, wow. Nice button. This fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence. Okay. So, have I admitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel. I don't understand. The prosecutor Ouchie of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise. Counsel for defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes, me! Is there another Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Right, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies in the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do. Yes, girl! Let's look at the court record, actually. Post-mortem report. Victim, Giselle Brad, female British. Time of death, 11 August around 2 p.m. Ascertained by examination and witness statements. Single! Deep stab wound from behind, piercing a lung and resulting in a fatal hemorrhage. Death would have occurred within minutes. Extreme meiosis, pupil constriction was observed in the victim in both eyes. Wouldn't that mean he was wearing sunglasses or something? Or dark? It was dark in the room? Let's look at this. Is there nothing for me to look at yet? I guess not. Shoes! She has many masks! Good lord! Dead duck. We got some wine. And then let's do this. Here's a little cat! Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought it would read it to me, but I guess not. And then the pen. I guess I can't look at it yet. Raymond Bonnie. Okay. Alright.
Hold it!
In that jaunty disguise. Correct. Wait, no. I mean, it wasn't the first time I've worn this swimsuit for a dip in the ocean. It's tried and tested. Do what must be done to keep the Englishwoman under surveillance. Those are my orders that day. And this tried and tested outfit was the answer. Being able to blend flawlessly into a crowd is an important part of a detective's job. I submerged myself in the salty water, leaving only Mr. Turtle floating inconspicuously on the surface. Mr. Turtle loves the water. There was no need for you to blend into the background on this assignment, really, was there? If that made you late arriving on the scene, I think perhaps you had your priorities wrong. Ahem. Perhaps I shouldn't pursue this line of questioning any further at the moment. She just feels bad for him. Right, bitch.
Hold it!
Ah, you're describing the victim's scream, presumably, Soseki-san. In more literary terms, you might say it was a scream that could have pierced the heavens. Yeah! Or the like. Of course, that's just a metaphor. We renowned authors are wont to describing things so. Soseki-san wasn't at all like this in England. Anyway, I spun around at the noise and the beach hut immediately fell under my gaze. Yes, the beach hut. The area is popular with government ministers. Many have seaside retreats there for rest and recuperation. Locals are prohibited from entering the area, so it's always very quiet. The beach hut is a simple structure erected as a place for people to change or take refuge from the sun. Although, the Englishwoman commandeered the hut for herself, which meant that I was forced to change into my swimwear on the sand. Ah, I imagine that was rather embarrassing for you. Well, anyway, I tossed the crab aside and headed for the beach hut at a run. Or, in more literary terms, I decrabbed and beetled off hut-wised. Those aren't words.
Hold it!
Wait, by pair, you don't mean to say. But how could that be? No, you misunderstand. Obviously, I mean the victim and the defendant, Rei Membami-san. Oh, it would have been helpful if you could have just said that from the outset. If you jump to conclusions, you have to expect to fall flat in your face sometimes. Dear me, pinning your hopes on such an outside chance. Foolish, very foolish. It really was an outside chance. I just wish I'd realized that before I said something silly. So, Inspector, why don't you tell the court how exactly you found the aforementioned pair in the hut? Well, it was a sorry sight. A really grisly scene. I parted the norn curtain hanging in the doorway and stepped inside only to see the defendant leaning menacingly over the lifeless body of the victim sprawled on the sand. Ugh. Good lord. Oh my god, the turtle head bobs. The glass is very nearly cracked at the ominous sight that met my eyes. How thoroughly appalling. Ugh, he doesn't appear to be lying here. Well, Sasaki-san, can you confirm what Inspector Hosonaga is saying, I wonder? You'd like a literary man's opinion. Shut up.
Hold it!
Stabbed wildly. You actually saw her do it. Oh, indeed. The terrible specter, the terrapin inspector, the bloody torrent, the author's torment. Eek! Every sight and every sound is still carved in my melancholy memory. That was my impression, at least, as a future literary sensation. Counsel, what on earth was a shrill, effeminate scream? Oh, no, no, what are you insinuating? I'm as manly a Japanese man as you. I wonder if I might interject here, Soseki-san. Something you said is troubling me. That was my impression, were your words just now, I believe. Ah, so do you mean to say you're not confident that you really did see what you described? Ugh. No, I mean, yes. I mean, I know what I saw. My ears didn't deceive me when I heard that scream, hence my eyes didn't deceive me either. I could describe everything I saw vividly. I could publish it all in tomorrow's newspaper serial. Do it.
It sounds as though the next installment of I Am a Cat may take a macabre turn. I think this is a fool's errand. The more we press your author friend on what he saw, the more entrenched he's going to become. Oh dear, how awkward. Saw a blood on the blade. It proved to me that she'd stabbed the victim.
Hold it!
She was stabbed multiple times. How can you be sure of that? Very simply, from the blood in the blade. The blood? When I entered the hut, I saw the defendant holding the blade raised up in the air. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. Oh. And I noted that there was blood in the blade already at that point. In other words, the victim had already been stabbed at least once by the time I arrived on the scene. Yes, that's right. I saw it too. And the victim was already holding the defendant's fountain pen in her hand too. All of which means I can be sure the victim did not die instantly. Yes, right. I saw it too. Maybe a year in London was too much for him. He sounds like he's forgotten how to speak Japanese. The logic of your argument is sound, at least. Well, as I said, it is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly. Perhaps it should have been your guiding principle to protect the victim flawlessly. That's just my personal opinion, of course. This man's dying. Counsel, you will refrain from mocking the witness. Oh no, I just have so many thoughts whirling around my head. I know what to do. It's all I can do to stand here wide-eyed and mute. Goodness, my dear, you really must try to calm down. But how am I supposed to find inconsistency in what these two gentlemen are saying? I don't see why either of them would have any reason to lie. What you must remember, I think, is that witnesses may inadvertently lie at times, for various reasons. A misunderstanding, a mistaken observation, a delusion even. Ah, a delusion. What's important is that we determine the truth, and there's only one sure way to do that. Yes, with evidence, of course. Spoken like a true judicial assistant. During witness testimony, you can use... Okay, I know how to present. Blah, 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 blah. I know how to play the game. Uh-oh. We have so many gloves. Let me look at the... Let me double check. Single deep stab wound. Death would have occurred within minutes. Okay. Just double checking. You can shut up.
Objection!
With that accusatory cry that just welled up from deep inside me, I think I finally understand. Every time Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san have stood here at this bench, the stakes have been very, very high indeed. What's the meaning of that menacing pose, counsel? I'd like the witness to clarify something for me. Who? What? Where? When? How? Not you, Soseki-san. This query is directed at Inspector Hosonaga. At me. In your statement just now,
You said that the victim was stabbed multiple times. Yes, that's right. As I said when I entered the hut, the defendant was already standing over the victim, bloody knife in hand, like a murderous demon. And yet, that cannot be. What? Get to the point, please, counsel. In the post-mortem report, it clearly states that the victim was stabbed one time only. In other words, Inspector Hosanaga's testimony is clearly flawed. She's handling this so much better than Ryunosuke and Soseki-san. Me? You claim to have seen Membami-san in the throes of stabbing the victim. Yes I did. Wildly. But both you and the inspector confirmed the same point. That there was already blood in the knife that you saw the defendant holding. Yes, and... It's quite simple. We know the murder weapon was used to stab the victim only once. Therefore, there is no way there could have been blood in the knife if that single stabbing had already occurred. True. Then what exactly is your contention, counsel? Are you ever going to tell us? Yes, Your Excellency. There's only one logical conclusion. What Soseki-san in fact saw was not the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim at all, but the moment that the defendant in fact withdrew the blade from the victim's body. That can't be! Excellent work, Susato. You exploded at them without objection and then proceeded to pull them apart systematically.
Objection!
Well, this takes me back. Yes, I seem to remember your cousin staged a scene much like this in that trial 9 months ago. A half-witted child with a half-baked objection attempting to steal the show. You're right, there were certain similarities. Except that so-called half-witted child managed to outwit the prosecution, who has only half a head of hair. Slander! My head is quite adequately dressed. In any case, all this talk of stabbing and withdrawing and multiple wounds, it makes not a jot of difference. What? Why not? Engage your brain, young man. When the accused first plunged the weapon into the victim, that was the fatal blow. And it was that moment, just as she had withdrawn the blade ready for her next strike, that the witnesses saw. The knife was already tainted with blood because the accused had already stabbed the victim. All you have successfully shown with your little display is that the mustache author is prone to moments of extravagance. Are you gonna say something about that? I am in agreement with the prosecution. If the defendant was seen wielding the blade at all, that is sufficient grounds for her actions to be viewed with suspicion. But if she was withdrawing the blade, then we are back where we started. Sorry. Consider this, young yokel boy. If the student girl is innocent as you claim, then why would she have pulled the blade from the victim, and with a demon's cold-blooded composure, too? The prosecution demands an explanation, and it had better be good. Why did Ray pull out the knife? Ah yes, going for the jugular. What does father mean by that? Let the court hear your answer then, counsel. The truth is, I don't really know, but I have to come up with a plausible reason here or we don't have a case. The reason why the defendant pulled the knife blade out of the victim's body was surely so she could stab her again. I'm gonna save. What color? You have a yellow. To save her life. According to the post-mortem report, the victim's death was not instant. I did say yellow. That's correct. It's thought she would have remained conscious for a short while after sustaining the injury. Indeed, giving her the time to take hold of this piece of evidence that clearly indicates her killer. The point is, being a medical research assistant, Membami-san was compelled to act when faced with the wounded victim. Instinctively, she pulled a blade out in an attempt to save Miss Brett's life. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? It would seem this is the best we can expect of this young yokel. Indeed. Is it just me, or does it suddenly feel much colder in here? Your Excellency, if I may. Speak, witness. I would like another opportunity to testify. In respect to the slipshod assertion just put forward by the yokel defense counsel, I mean. Don't call me that. Slipshod? An excellent idea, Inspector. Our young yokel hopeful has a modicum of knowledge when it comes to the law, it seems. But in matters of medicine, he appears to possess not one iota of common sense. Very well, Inspector. I will permit your request. You will testify again before the court on the subject of the defense counsel's assertion. Yes, sir. We'll do so flawlessly. Alright, homie. Pulling a blade from a wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's true. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Shit. Is what you just said true, Inspector? Could pulling a knife from a wound really cause a wound to bleed heavily? Yes, think of the weapon itself as a stopper in the wound that prevents excessive blood loss. Until a doctor is ready to provide proper treatment, that stopper shouldn't be removed. Oh, I see. Ha! This is why yokels should stay on the farm. Even a quack from some obscure mountain village would have such basic knowledge. Anyone who's ever given someone a little poke with a knife and pulled it out again knows it. So you've killed someone, is what you're saying. Oh, well, I've never stabbed anyone, you see, or pulled a blade out of a wound, so... Of course you haven't. I didn't bring you up to behave like a bandit. Father, is it true what they're telling me? That's his basic remedial knowledge for medics. Ray would have been well aware of it. If she were to claim ignorance of such fundamentals, that would prove fatal in many ways. But then, why would Ray have done it? Could she have pulled out that knife in full? Okay. Sorry. In full knowledge it would have been fatal, that it would be fatal for Miss Brett. I don't know. Ray never once mentioned anything about the knife to me. It seems almost impossible to believe, but... Could my friend actually have... Susato? Yes. Pull yourself together. Oh, we had McDonald's today. You mustn't lose sight of why we're here. Ah. Counsel, it's time for your cross-examination. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. However, I must warn you that if your cross-examination fails to identify any issue with the established facts, I will be moving to my adjudication immediately afterwards. I understand. Believing in your clients and fighting for their cause until the bitter end. I knew it would be hard, but I had no idea it would be this hard. Does that mean I can't press him on all of this? But we'll see. blow my nose. One sec.
Hold it!
You say doing it without thinking could be a problem. Does that mean that if you used due care and attention, it would be alright? Wouldn't have thought this needed spelling out, really, but... The blade is like a stopper in the wound. Remove it, and a serious hemorrhage will occur. Look at the little turtle! In other words, a medic would need to be present before any attempt was made to withdraw the blade. Doing it without thinking would be madness. You just can't do it. Oh, well, thank you for such a thorough explanation. No, it's just a toy turtle. You see, Counsel, when you act without thinking, the result is a bloodbath. Ugh. Back to the witness testimony, please.
Hold it!
In that case, there's an obvious explanation here. Which is... Clearly, the defendant Rei Membami-san does not possess an ounce of sense. This is your defense? What do you think about that, Professor Mikotova? I'm not sure that you should be labeling your best friend as lacking in common sense. Well, I thought it would be better than labeling her as a murderer. I don't know, young people today. If that's friendship, I don't understand it. Careful, Counsel. A lack of common sense can be a very dangerous thing. What the fuck? Is he gonna fucking hammer us? Oh dear. That recoiled on me rather badly. That's life, I'm afraid. A lesson everyone must learn. Hopefully you can see now that this is really basic medical knowledge. Being involved in medical research, Membami-san would certainly have been aware of it. If I press on this, will they kill me?
Hold it!
But the defendant had suddenly encountered somebody she knew lying on the ground bleeding to death. The sight could have shocked her delicate sensibilities, causing her to remove the blade inadvertently. I really don't think inadvertent actions can explain this. The woman is a medical research assistant. I can't imagine she would behave so irrationally. Oh, but irrational behavior is a woman's prerogative, isn't it? Girl, what? Oh dear, you have a lot to learn about women. Only a small-minded man could have such bigoted views. Oh dear, perhaps I'm letting my male persona take hold a little too much. Well, have I managed to convey the basics now? That should cover the medical side of the argument.
Hold it!
Whatever the motive, it just isn't in Membami-san's nature to do something so awful. But she had both motive and opportunity. That's very hard to argue against. But you don't know the defendant.
Objection!
And you, Counsel, do not appear to know the law. Yes, evidence is the only way to convince the court of your argument, not feelings. We guess that he has tuberculosis because of this. He hasn't explicitly said. With this fledgling to defend her, I would almost say I pity the accused. So do I. Inspector, you will reiterate your point about the defendant's motive, please? Ah, yes, Miss Brett was in many ways the sworn enemy of Membami-san.
Hold it!
Well, yes, that's true. Dr. Wilson recognized Membami-san's talent and offered her the position of assistant despite her being a woman. She was extremely grateful to him. Yes, the Englishman appears to have been a very broad-minded individual. Dr. Wilson had no time for outdated traditions. He met with opposition, of course, but he believed firmly in Membami-san's abilities. Certainly the defendant was in the man's debt, which only serves to prove my point. This is hopeless. I can't find a single crack in this testimony anywhere. If Ray knew that withdrawing the knife from the wound would threaten Miss Brett's life further, I just can't think of any way to explain why she did it. Susato, it's at times like these when it's especially important to remember the fundamentals. Fundamentals? Evidence is what counts in the courtroom, isn't it? Of course, but I've been through the court record dozens of times already. I think perhaps you're forgetting something, though. You needn't take the evidence at face value. You can and must examine it in greater detail, too. Ah. I realize this is your first time playing the role of lawyer in the courtroom. So if you need reminding of the rudiments, you need only ask. I'll do my very best to help. Examine the evidence of the court record. It's an idea, certainly. What should I do? I know what to do. Come to think of it, Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san were always turning evidence over and over in their hands. Buckwheat allergy? Wait, how prevalent is buckwheat in Japan? Also, what the fuck kind of allergy makes him cough up blood? You examine things in greater detail, well, blah, blah, yeah. Let's look at the... I'm gonna examine this. We take off the pen's lid. Oh, I like this. What we have here? Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? Uh-huh. There's no ink in it, is what you're saying. This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the nib. Something wrong, Father. Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Oh yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Oh, buckwheat and soba. Yes, that makes sense. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. What the fuck? Let's look at this. There's some sort of emblem here, look. But it isn't the Yume University one. It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. A business of some kind. But that would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray. Okay. So, we can prove that this is not Ray's. Is what it's saying. That's all we're saying from this? Oh god, this is hard to... Here we go. The RM initials are very clearly engraved here. And the fact that Miss Brett was clinging to this pen in her dying moments is very clearly a message too. Identify her killer, you mean? I don't think there can be any doubt that this is a key piece of evidence in this case. Please tell me there's something else. I think that's it. What am I supposed to say about this? Watch or rewatch? You should have watched it before. The reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife. I forget that the young student did have a motive. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago was the defendant's highly respected. What the? Where am I gonna? What? How do I press this? That's fair. How do I say that it's not her? Maybe I press here and say that's not actually her pen.
Objection!
It's wrong. It's wrong. You want me to examine it again? Okay. Oh, it didn't let me do this before. Raucous England returnees tell all. This is the interview with you and Saseki-san, is it, father? It looks as though it was quite an exchange. Yes, he became a little over-animated when he was talking about his time in England. The photographer managed to capture the moment his hand karate chopped me on the neck. I do hope you weren't hurt. I know what I said. What's on the back? This is a newspaper from Saseki-san. There seems to be an important article on the back page as well. Exclusive, deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. From Yume's medical research. Father, isn't that your lab? What the? Let me see that. The poison's been stolen. Kuzco's poison. The poison for Kuzco. It's this morning's paper that Soseki-san gave us. Are you saying you didn't know? As embarrassing as that is for the head of the laboratory, I didn't. I've not heard any such thing. Where on earth could a reporter have gleaned this information? Laboratory. Wait, how do you say it? Come to think of it, there was no article mentioning this story in our paper this morning, was there? The highly toxic poison we've been working on, the strictest confidence. Laboratory. I don't know. I assume this is how they said it back then. I'd put Ray in charge of the project. Ray? She was managing it? If what's written here is true, it means that she tried to hide the theft from me. And moreover, the details were leaked somehow. I don't believe it. We need to read this article very carefully. Poison article. I think this is it. Yep. Poison article. Exclusive! Following a lecture at EMA by Soseki Natsume on 11th August has come to light that a very disturbing incident took place. A deadly poison being secretly developed in the university's forensic science laboratory was stolen. Tears. Even the smallest amount entering the body, either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade, would prove fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect a newly developed chemical. The university would have to be consulted. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. Such symptoms would be suggestive that this toxin is apparently an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids and rumored to have been commissioned by the military. This is not looking very good. I guess we're corroborating with him. Here's the motive, or like here's a method of how she did it. Can I look around here? No, okay.
Objection!
It's wrong. It's wrong! Perhaps I need to reconsider. Okay, I think I've looked at all the evidence. Oops. Let's save again. So all I need is just to press where? Here?
Objection!
This is not working. Maybe I press again on each one and then see what's up.
Hold it! Hold it! Hold it!
That's a good idea too.
Hold it!
I have not seen that movie either. Okay, this is the one. Facts don't care about your feelings. Blah 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 blah. we did once a long time ago, but I do not remember it.
Hold it!
It's hopeless. I feel like I've looked at everything though. Let's see. What does this say? No, I do not remember this. I'm not sure what to get out of this. Maybe I'm thinking too hard. I don't know what to... Oops. Can I turn the page? No. From the side? Doesn't look like I can. I don't know what to press here. I did, but I only pressed it on this one. I didn't press it on the other one, I think. Check my history. I pressed... Oh, I just pressed on everything, that was it. Pulling a blade from the wound without thinking could cause heavy bleeding. That's basic knowledge that any medical research assistant with an ounce of sense ought to know. In other words, there's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. Let's not forget that the young student did have a motive for killing the victim. The man the victim murdered 9 months ago, Dr. Wilson, was the defendant's highly respected mentor. Girl, what? Yeah, that's it. It's just these 5 things. There's no good reason why the defendant would have tried to pull the knife from the victim. There has to be a reason why. I guess, if you're looking at that. I don't know why. Photographic print of the scene. Stab wound in the victim's back is clearly visible. Time of death at 2 p.m. Death is believed to be due to trauma to the victim's lung from a knife blade. Only single wound was identified. This one's the article about them 2 boys. And here's the pen bearing the initials RM, emblem with some description. Very small amount of liquid still inside the ink reservoir. An article about poison that was stolen from a laboratory at Yuma University. Even my father, who's responsible for the lab, knew nothing of the incident. I'll have to read this again. Poison stolen. Smallest amount entering the body either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade would prove fatal in minutes. Poison-laced blade would prove fatal in minutes. I did not. Should I? Let me save. Hee. Present. These all are stretches, man.
Objection!
Get the fuck out of here. No. There is one possibility. One very good reason why the defendant might have decided to withdraw the knife from the victim's wound. What? Ha! That Yoko not only is a poor grasp of the law, but also a poor loser. Tell us then, what possibility do you think you've identified? It's here, in this newspaper article. An article about a deadly poison having been stolen from a laboratory at the Imperial Yuma University.
Objection!
The victim perished from a stab wound. Poison has no relevance in this case. But... Prosecutor Auchi, you will let the defense speak. But a newspaper article! The court cannot rely on the kind of hearsay those wretched publications carry. Counsel for defense? I'm going to need some tangible basis for your claim. You will indicate to the court precisely what part of the newspaper article mentioned affirms your assertion. Your Excellency! Yes, of course. Thank you. Ray would never have done something to further endanger Miss Brett's life without just cause. The reason why the defendant pulled a knife from the victim's body is explained in the article where it says, deadly in tiny quantities. Wait, let me double check. Zoom in. Deadly in tiny quantities. I think that's it. The article reveals the following property about the poison in question. When the toxin enters the body on a knife laced with the poison, it's rapidly absorbed and causes death in minutes. Are you suggesting... If the knife used to attack Miss Brett was laced with this very poison, this just makes her look bad, I'm just saying. It would explain why the defendant, Membami-san, would have withdrawn the blade as soon as possible. Yes, the truth is... It was an attempt to stop the poison from entering the victim's body. What?
Objection!
It is complete and utter nonsense! Not at all. The defendant withdrew the knife blade from the victim's body not to accelerate the woman's demise, but to save her life, and the prosecution cannot deny the possibility. Have you not read the post-mortem report? The cause of death was hemorrhage! The word poison appears nowhere in the document. Well, that's because by acting quickly to remove the blade, the defendant prevented the poison from taking hold.
Objection!
Oh please, it's clearly desperation. The weasel's last breaking of wind. Fart? Poison has nothing whatsoever to do with this case, as I believe the defense is well aware. We have no proof that the information in this wretched newspaper article is at all reliable anyway. In that situation, what the student should have done is wait for medical assistance to arrive. But instead, you claim she suspected poisoning and took the potentially lethal decision to remove the blade. You must have had a strong reason for her suspicions then, or the argument makes no sense. Exactly. Well put, Inspector. On what grounds did she do it? Yokel? Why did Ray suspect the stolen poison was involved? If you want grounds, I'll give you grounds. What? You can't possibly. From your expression, Counsel, it would appear those are not empty words. Like, I was about to say, like, coffee grounds? But naturally, as you stand in this courtroom as a lawyer, you must be aware that words alone, empty or not, are of no value in our modern justice system. The court demands evidence. Yes, Your Excellency, I'm well aware of that. I've seen it many times, from my place at his side in the Old Bailey. In that case, you'll present the proof to the court now. What evidence demonstrates a clear link between this case and the poison in the newspaper article? Huh? What evidence? I would have think it's the article. This one. Science laboratory was stolen. After a lecture at Yume. I will save again.
Take that!
How exactly would you explain this piece of evidence's connection to the newspaper article? In truth, I'm not really what? But my father always taught me to ask my elders whenever I was in trouble. So I thought I should ask your opinion, Your Excellency. This seems like a bad advice. Article in the paper had details of the toxin. Now, where have we seen similar details? Does nowhere come to mind. Oh! The post-mortem report. Well... Might be this one.
Take that!
I would ask the court to refer to the notes section of the post-mortem report, which reads, extreme meiosis pupil constriction was observed in the victim. Ah. Clearly, being a yokel with no knowledge of forensic science, I have no idea, so please do tell me. Presumably, the fact that this condition of the victim was noted in the post-mortem report means that it's an unusual symptom of death. Well, under normal circumstances, the pupils dilate when someone dies. Oh, they do? I didn't know that. If there was extreme constriction instead, that's most certainly unusual, yes. Yeah, we're not doing a good job right now. What are you doing, you yokel detective? In the newspaper article, there's the following information about the stolen poison. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, ending with acute contraction of the pupils prior to death. What? The defendant, upon seeing the victim stabbed in the back, happened to notice that the pupils of Miss Brett's eyes had constricted severely. Yes, as a medical research assistant, she would have suspected poison immediately, without doubt. Prosecutor Aoshi, I think you'll agree. This is very compelling evidence. You yokel student, yokel professor! He's not a yokel professor! I believe the defense has expertly demonstrated a credible reason for the defendant's actions. No. Eugene Mikotova? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe you are best placed here to confirm or deny the veracity of the defense counsel's agreement. What does yokel mean? It's like backwater. Country boy. You will tell the court the truth about the details reported in this newspaper, please. It pains me to have to admit it. But I'm afraid I don't know. You don't know. The toxin was kept under lock and key in my laboratory, certainly, but I was unaware of any theft. Do you mean to tell the court that the reports of this theft are unfounded? No, Your Excellency. Without returning to the laboratory to investigate myself, I couldn't say. Ha! Listen to the bumbling academic. Unaware of the theft of secret state research from his own workplace until he reads of it in a newspaper. I take full responsibility for the incompetence of my supervision. Father. A pitiful situation for a university professor. You should have more control over your students, rather than allowing them off on killing sprees. Okay. That's totally unfounded. None of this is Professor Mikotova's fault. It's all my fault. Ray. And Bami-san, you stand accused here. Outbursts like this will not be tolerated. But it was me. I was the one who noticed that the poison we were developing had been stolen that day. What? So you knew? I've been placed in charge of overseeing the project. It was the day that the professor and Soseki-san were interviewed together for the newspaper. That's when I noticed that some of the poison was missing. Just a tiny amount it was. Why didn't you let me know immediately? I was scared. The whole project was supposed to be confidential, but some of the toxin had somehow been taken. So I decided I'd try to get it back before anyone else found out. Because I had a very good idea who the thief was. The thief? You don't mean... Yes, of course, it was that dainty Englishwoman, Miss Giselle Brett. That's why I decided to join the little group of people going to the seaside. No, they're about the same age. "16. Never mind. I thought Susato's... No, Susato's like 18 or something. She's a baby. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat in a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me, as if she knew she was untouchable. I know it was you who stole the poison.
Well now, whatever do you mean?
And then, she suddenly got to her feet, before falling to her knees in front of me and then collapsing on the floor. That's when I saw the knife in her back. I couldn't understand what had just happened. And then, a moment later, I was seized with fear. The pupils of her eyes they'd shrunk to tiny pinpoints. I don't believe it. In other words, you realize that the victim was suffering the effects of the stolen poison. My mind started racing. I hadn't seen anything past Miss Brett's lips whilst I'd been with her. Which left only one possible way for the poison to have entered her body. On the blade of the knife in her back. And that train of thought was what spurred you to withdraw the blade. Yes, if the amount that had entered her bloodstream was small enough, she might still have a chance. That's what I hoped. Really, I'm so sorry for staying silent all this time. Your attempt to hide the truth of what happened is not something that can be overlooked. However, I've duly noted the courage with which you confess in the end. Thank you, Your Excellency. It's barely perceptible, but I do think the balance has shifted a little here, in this courtroom now.
Objection!
Your Excellency, do not be deceived! The victim just collapsed before your eyes, you say? Well, Membami-san, if that is the case, perhaps you could explain how Miss Brett came to be stabbed. Well, you have no answer because the simple truth is that you stabbed the victim motivated by revenge.
Objection!
But you have no conclusive evidence to prove that assertion, do you? Oh, I have evidence. It's very much conclusive. What's the prosecution counsel up to? It was brief, but he hesitated for a moment there. I'm almost sure of it. You'll produce the aforementioned evidence at once, Prosecutor Ouchi. Perhaps some praise is due, young yokel student. What? I had imagined there would be no need for me to submit this evidence. Oh my god. But you've brought this on yourself. What the? Could a more damning shot exist? The cruelty in the air on that beach is almost palpable. Its evidence, more than any other, reveals the true extent of the accused's murderous nature. For it shows the precise moment that Membani-san plunged her dagger into the victim's back. No, that's not true. No. I don't believe it. I've been shot. Wait, what? It was a pen? Hold on. I did not look at the picture. Order, order, order. Counsel for defense, was it you who was responsible for that shrill scream that just pierced my courtroom? Perhaps his voice has yet to break. These yokels are slow of mind and slow to mature. I'll show you who's slow to mature. Careful now. Susato is starting to show her face here. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And here we have ample proof. The Court will accept this extremely cogent photographic print as evidence. I can't believe he's had a photograph like that up his sleeve the entire time. Wait, let's look at it. Wait. It could be a dagger. But other than that, I don't see... What is this? Crack. It's such a stark image, I'm genuinely lost for words. Wait a minute, I don't understand. How did you... I mean, who took the photograph? Ray.
Objection!
That's of no importance here. Stop trying to divert attention. Who took the photo? Oh.
Objection!
That's an absurd thing to say. It's crucially important. Whoever took this photographic print was a witness to Miss Brett's death. The court must be allowed to hear this person's testimony. Ah! I will uphold the defense's demand. The prosecution will reveal the identity of the person responsible for taking this photograph at once. Well, I'm afraid I can't do that. Pardon? You see, this print arrived at the Imperial Police Bureau headquarters by express post yesterday. But there was nothing to indicate the sender's name or address. The provenance of this print is unknown. So you're just accepting this? Goodness. Are we to understand then, Counsel, that in full knowledge of the fact this photograph has the murkiest of origins, you nevertheless believe it's fit for submission as evidence in the Supreme Court? When you first produced that print before, I noticed that you hesitated for a brief moment. Because you knew that it wasn't completely reliable evidence, didn't you? Silence, you yokel student blabbering professor. What matters is the blatant truth that this print so eloquently expresses. But the defendant has already admitted to pulling the blade from the wound. Clearly this isn't the moment the knife was plunged into the victim's back, but the moment it was withdrawn. Don't waste this court's time with your ramblings. Indeed, without knowledge of who produced this print, we have no means of verifying the claim. It's because it's a British national who's the victim and the murderer. And the scene it captures is without a doubt the most compelling evidence presented to the court. When the defense is unable to shed any further light on the matter, I believe the conclusion is clear. Oh no. Susato, it's the time for you to fight. If what you've established so far is true, then there can be no doubt. This photograph shows the moment that Ray withdrew the blade from the victim. Easy Susato takedown. Yes, we just need to prove that somehow. You'll have plenty of time to rue your defeat on the slow train back to the provinces. And to rue the day you came up against Taketsuchi Auchi in a court of law. If I can determine who took this photograph, then the trial is going to come to an end. There must be a clue somewhere. There must be some way of working out who took it. Well, Counsel? Your Excellency? The burning question is who took the photograph. And the truth is... well, we can end here.